Hello, world. We are live. Good to see you. My name is Brandy Camacho. I'm going to be the host today. I have some fantastic guests. This is our initiative in regards to Make Crypto Mobile Hackathon. We have events going on all month long, so please check out DeFiForThePeople.org. If you're not interested in participating, click on Hackathon at DeFiForThePeople.org. In the meantime, let's get things started. I have two special guests with me. We're going to be touching base on the topic of learning what is possible with mobile DeFi on the Celo platform. I have today with me Patrick from Ubeswap, and then we have Evan with Ubeswap. Let's go ahead and chat a little bit here in regards to the importance of mobile with DeFi. Patrick, if you don't mind, you want to go ahead and kick it off, give a little shout out about what's going on with Moola, and I heard you have some good you want to share with the community today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Brandy, and I appreciate everybody joining us today. So, as she said, my name is Patrick, and I'm the founder of Moola Market, which is a borrowing and lending protocol built on the Celo network that enables borrowers, or rather depositors, to earn compound interest, which is paid for by borrowers. Borrowers can take over-collateralized loans in perpetuity. They also can take flash loans that have to be paid back within the same block. And then the next version that we'll be rolling out, hopefully later this week, we'll also have a mechanism called credit delegation, which will enable unsecured loans to be taken by borrowers. So I'm going to go ahead and run through it and do a quick demo of Moola. And all right, looks like we've got the, of course, somebody's calling me right as I start. So what you're seeing here is this is my mobile device that I'm just putting onto another screen here. So this is a Safari browser, and I've already navigated to app.moola.market, and you can see that it takes me to the home screen where I can see information that is global to the markets that we have. So excuse me, again, somebody's trying to get into the building, and I thought that I silenced that. Let me actually just there we go, do not disturb. And so what you can see is information that is global to the market on the market tab. So for example, we have about 20 million in CUSD deposited. Of that, about 10 million is available to borrow. And you can navigate and see all of the information that's global here on this home screen. But the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to connect my wallet. So when I tap connect wallet, it prompts with the wallet options that we have. We do have MetaMask and imToken in their native dApp browser, but I'm going to use Valora for this demonstration. When I go to Valora, it asks me to sign a transaction to confirm that I want to, in fact, connect. So now I am connected, and I have not deposited anything into this from this wallet address so far. So I want to earn some compound interest on my Celo dollars. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to tap deposit, and I'm going to navigate over to Celo dollars, and we'll deposit 30 Celo dollars. It takes me to a confirmation screen, and then will prompt me to again sign the Moola transaction using Valora. Wants me to input my PIN code to confirm that this is in fact my intention. And it actually is a two-step process because I'm doing an allow transaction, and then I'm actually signing the transaction. We'll be migrating away from that flow and merging those two into one, or at least giving the user the option to. And now you'll see that I got a balance of 30 Celo dollars. So if I scroll down here into my account tab, I can see that my existing wallet balance available to deposit is about $5 left, and I've got $30 deposited into Moola that's currently earning an APY of just over 2.7%, and it is collateral. So if I want to now borrow against my collateral, I can come up here and I can initiate a borrow. So in this case, I'm going to borrow Celo euros against my Celo dollar collateral. I have an option of either taking a variable rate loan or a stable rate loan. Stable rate loans are intended to have fixed interest rates in the short term, but can reset under certain market conditions. So I'm going to borrow. Let's do about $10. We'll do $10.09. takes me to a confirmation screen, shows me all the important information, what my APR is going to be, the rate I'm going to pay, what the liquidation price is. That is, if the Celo dollar price of euros drops to, then I could be liquidated, as well as my health factor. If you have questions about any of these things, we do have little question boxes that you can tap on to read more information. But I'm going to go ahead and confirm this transaction. And as soon as it's confirmed, we could look at it in the blockchain explorer. Maybe we'll take a quick look and see if it populates. Sometimes these take a little bit more time. You can see that the transaction's pending, but the maximum gas fee that could be spent on this transaction is 0.002. It should end up being a couple of orders of magnitude less than that. We'll just give it a quick refresh to see. There we go. So it populated 0.0007, one Celo, so a fraction of a penny. And you can see that it only took a few seconds to in fact load. So now when I travel back to my account tab, you'll see that my balance has decreased from $30 down to $18, and this is because I now have a debt of $10, and I can see all of that information. If I need to query a specific transaction that I did, I can come to my account tab. I can view that on the Explorer. And when I'm ready to repay and withdraw, I'll just show the repay flow real quick, and then we'll talk back over. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to repay. I'm going to do the maximum amount. If I wanted to simulate what a smaller repay amount looks like, for example, if I wanted to repay 5, you'll see that the information below, my health factor, loan to value ratio, as well as the new liquidation price, is all populating down there. So you can simulate where a transaction will put you in terms of how safe or risky your position will be after the transaction is confirmed. But again, we'll go ahead and I believe I have to approve and sign this one. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and approve and sign it. And there we go. So now I have repaid my loan and I'm back to $30. So I'm going to just pause right there, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. We do have APIs that you can plug in directly into the Moola contracts. This is one front end. There's other front ends to access the contracts, but that gives you an idea of kind of what's possible. Brandy?
Perfect. Well done, Patrick. Excellent demo. I love the user interface. It's very clean. You integrated with Valora, the wallet. I was wondering if you could touch base briefly before we hand it off to Evan with Ubeswap. If you don't mind, share a little bit about how you got here, why this is important in regards to mobile accessibility, this user experience that you provided with Moola, any tips that you can provide to those looking to integrate and interface with Moola, especially we have the development side, but also on the design side, because the workflow here provides the experience for users, and your users have enjoyed this thus far. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. My intention for building Moola on Celo is to provide a user interface where we can provide an equal level of access to yield and to credit to anybody in the world, no matter where they are, no matter what kind of technology they have access to. Well, given a kind of a minimum threshold of technology, that is having either an iPhone or an Android or even a feature phone, and meeting folks where they are on the technology spectrum and providing equal access to reasonably priced capital. That's the intention. And my thesis is that by focusing on mobile devices and localizing the application to cultural norms and languages and applications that are specific to cultures all around the world, then we'll be able to provide access to billions of people. I'm very excited to see what sort of primitives get built on top of Moola. We built on top of the Celo network, so we're leveraging the consensus mechanism as well as the stable coins and some of the other infrastructure. And so Moola is an application layer that can be built on top of. There's a couple of really great examples of that already, including Good Ghosting, which is a prize link savings account, which uses Moola as a source of yield generation under the hood. There's also private stablecoin accounts that are private stablecoin accounts that'll be launched later this week through Proof Cash, which again allows users to save and have a certain level of privacy on their savings accounts. So if you need access to a yield generator, Moola can be that. Access to lines of credit, then Moola can be that. But the kind of design landscape of what's possible with this primitive is quite broad, and I'm thrilled to see what other folks build, and yeah, just really excited about this.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Patrick. We have some questions from the community. I want to address these questions, but let's first hand it off to Evan in regards to Ubeswap, because Patrick, you just got done touching base about the whole idea of utilizing Ubeswap to make a deposit, to borrow, and then to do the repayment. And in DeFi, we have this thing called farming. And so I think this is a good time to segue. Evan, we want to go ahead and share about Ubeswap. And then what we'll do is after you present, let's go ahead and have a roundtable discussion with Patrick, you, myself, and we'll discuss the feedback from the community.
Patrick, just confirming that you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome, wonderful. Great, so yeah, thanks Patrick for kicking things off. No one does a live demo better than Patrick. These are, he's a hard act to follow. But I'm really excited to be here. I've been with Ubeswap for about 6 weeks now, helping to lead growth and business development. Before that, I was with Celo Labs for about 2 years, heading up Asia ecosystem growth. I also worked at Terra for a year, and the Federal Reserve for quite some time before that. So it's really exciting to be at the forefront of innovation and also financial inclusion enabled not only by blockchain, but specifically by Celo, with the very fast confirmation times and ultra low gas fees, as you saw in Patrick's demo, and you'll see in the Ubeswap demo. So what's really exciting about Ubeswap is it's also essentially it's an automated market making platform built on top of Celo. At its core, it's a fork of SushiSwap, which borrows from the legacy of Uniswap. So it's a familiar interface, familiar protocol that leverages the best of the Celo stack, and this makes yield farming and decentralized liquidity provisioning and access much more accessible to the global community, with removing the need to pay high gas fees or say intermediaries that can drive up costs. Anyone anywhere can easily swap between Celo assets or assets that have been bridged from other blockchains onto Celo, such as from Ethereum. We now have a few great Ethereum assets on the Celo chain. This makes it accessible to anyone, even with as little as $1 or $5. So we're not just about appealing to the whales. We really are focused on building our community from the ground up and making sure that our platform reflects the needs of the global community and everyday users. So let me share my screen just to show a little bit about, let's see, go to this window. Let me know if you guys can you see my screen?
Yep, looking good.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So here we are on the Ubeswap app homepage. You can get here by going to ubeswap.org and then clicking to launch the app, or you can go to app.ubeswap.org. You'll see a familiar interface where there's the ability to swap assets, pool them, and farm, which is essentially providing liquidity. We also have a new feature to bridge from Optics. There's also a separate bridge built by another team from Solana. So I think it's a really exciting time to get involved and start seeing what opportunities there are to not only swap, but also generate income by providing liquidity. So starting off, I have my MetaMask wallet connected. You can see that, we have a tutorial on our docs page on how to set up the Celo network on MetaMask, but I can toggle between Ethereum and Celo very easily. So that's one of the beauties of the Celo stack being EVM compatible. And let's say I want to yield farm. One thing I can do is I can come over to the farm page and I start to see what pools there are. So essentially what liquidity does the Ubeswap community want to incentivize, such as pooling between MCUSD and MC Euro, which are the Moola Celo dollar and Moola Euro. We also have some dual reward pools. Let's say I want to pool Celo and MCUSD. I like the 91% APR. I like that there's dual rewards. I like that it's dealing with two of the core, native protocol assets. And so I come over to the swap page, which has my MetaMask connected, and I can swap one Celo for MCUSD. Here you see the estimated rate, the estimated price impact, the fee that the liquidity providers will earn, which I will soon become one, and then the route for the trade. There's also some advanced features. You can set slippage and expert mode, and just you can help sort of speed the transaction along by requiring less approvals, or whether you want to enable smart writing or not. We're also looking to add limit orders very soon, so stay tuned for that. But here I am, I confirm the swap, MetaMask pops up. I look at the gas fee and my jaw has dropped that this is way less than 1/10 of a penny for this transaction. And already that is submitted. So you can see on the bottom here of the window that the transaction is pending. So now it's been confirmed. I can view it on the Celo Explorer. But the next step to farming is to add liquidity. So again, the pool that I want to be involved in is the Moola Celo dollar and Celo pool. And so I can come here, I bring up both assets because you have to supply liquidity with both assets at the same time so that people can trade between them. And I decide to add the max amount of Moola Celo dollar I have. It brings up the counter Celo amount. And then I confirm that I want to supply these two tokens together as a LP token, as it's called. And I confirm the transaction, which is takes just a few seconds to confirm on the blockchain. Let's wait 2 more seconds. Great, so that position has been pooled. And so now I have this dual, essentially it's like a dual token. That's my liquidity position that I want to add to the farm in order to add more liquidity. So here I come to the farm page, I can look at the stats. There's already over 5 million deposited in this pool, making it a very liquid pool. I can see the rewards I get per week, or actually the pool earns per week in both Celo and Ube for this pool. And then I see that I have 2.25 LP tokens and I want to deposit them. So let me go to the max. I've already approved in an earlier transaction. And again, I come to confirm this transaction through MetaMask. Again, it's less than 1/10 of a penny. And so what I've done now is submitted this liquidity position to the pool. And once the transaction confirms, voila. So here's my liquidity deposit. Here's the current value of the 2 tokens matched in the pool. And you can see here are my unclaimed rewards. So because this is a smaller position relative to the size of the pool, I won't see this add up immediately right here on the screen, but rest assured, there's instantaneous rewards generation. I can claim at any time. Already in a few seconds, I've earned some Celo and Ube. I would then hit the claim button and go through that process to claim. I won't walk through all the steps to claim and withdraw, but it's essentially, if you want your tokens back in your wallet because you need to do something else with them, you can just claim your rewards, withdraw, and then swap back to the original token that you want, essentially reversing the steps that you did to add liquidity. But real quickly before I sign off, I want to go to the bridge page. I won't walk through this process. It takes a little bit longer for the asset to bridge from Ethereum to Celo, but I do want to show everyone that I can select Ethereum to Celo. I can select a whole variety of assets. I mean, look at all these great Ethereum assets. Right now, I know that Ubeswap supports wrapped Ethereum, wrapped Ether. It also supports wrapped Bitcoin and wrapped Circle Dollar. So I can start to bring those over from Ethereum. And the beauty of MetaMask is I can easily toggle between Ethereum and Celo to confirm transactions on both chains and do everything within this interface. So, you know, the first step here is to change my network to Ethereum, and then I bring the assets over and bring them over to Celo because the yield farming is better, it's faster, it's cheaper, and I get the same exposure to the asset on Ethereum. So this is, in short, a quick demo on Ubeswap. So let me just close out my share screen. Okay, are we back? Awesome.
We're back. We're back. Wonderful job to the both of you. I love the demonstrations. Patrick, you went off right from the start. You showed the mobile side of Moola. And then
Yes.
Ube, you went through and you showed how we're connecting it with farming and we have interoperability. Both these are plays to the mobile side of DeFi. Can you both shed some light in regards to the importance of accessibility with mobile, and also touch base on how you looked at the user interface for accessibility of folks that are using this from the user's perspective? We have some questions from the community. We'll jump into those next, but to kick it off, Patrick, you want to go ahead and address that, and then we'll go over and get the feedback from Evan.
Yeah, accessibility via mobile is probably the most important and overlooked aspect of crypto. You know, over the past 5+ years, there's really been a lack of kind of acknowledgement that there are over 6 billion mobile devices in the world, and many folks live on their mobile devices and don't have access at all or regularly to desktop computers. And so I think up to this point, it's really shown a lack of empathy for users, and you know, kind of just really, but it's created an opportunity for the Celo ecosystem to fill that very, very large niche of coming in and providing mobile native experiences. And you know, this is not just from the application layer, but this goes all the way from the base technology stack. Having ultra-light clients that allow users to verify transactions while only spending very minimal amounts of data, because there's a lot of users that have tight data requirements, and data is expensive and it's a meaningful amount of money for them. And then you combine that with low transaction costs for applications like Moola and Ubeswap. You know, with Moola, you can deposit it costs $0.01 of a penny. That means you're not giving up all of your yield by depositing and withdrawing. You can keep your money in a yield generating position for a minimum amount of time, and then when you need to spend your money, you can withdraw it. And again, don't give back your yield and gas. Same with swapping. If you need to swap between assets, it can be done at a very low cost. And all of these tools, again, are accessible through browsers. You don't even necessarily need you don't need access to the Play Store or the App Store to use either Moola or Ubeswap. Perhaps you do to obtain a wallet, but you know, our focus is just reducing as many of the barriers as possible and getting the technology into everybody's hands so that we have equal access to low cost of capital and an ability to, in the case of Ubeswap, swapping between different currencies. Randy?
Well said. Thank you so much, Patrick. Off to you, Evan. Accessibility, mobile DeFi.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are these are way more than buzzwords when it comes to Celo and Celo DeFi. So, you know, as we've shown, it's super fast and inexpensive to participate in this new financial paradigm. And really what Celo enables is another, let's say 6 billion smartphone users around the world to gain access to this technology. I demonstrated the Ubeswap experience on desktop, which you know, I was had linked my MetaMask wallet for that, but it works on mobile. It works you know, even better with a mobile native dApp like Valora built on Celo. So I prefer to, you know, yield farm on using Valora when I'm on mobile. You know, interestingly, you can connect your wallets through the desktop and mobile experience. You can kind of go back and forth between both, but it's super accessible, and also not only can you access these markets and these new financial primitives, but you can earn on mobile, which, you know, I think someone's commented about Axie Infinity in the chat, and that's really showed the power. I think that's a great case study to show the power of people to earn income, to replace maybe jobs that have been lost during COVID with new sources of income that are enabled by blockchain. And so Ubeswap is, you know, the platform sees itself at the core of liquidity for the growing Celo ecosystem, and we in the community are really excited to bring a lot more exciting new Celo native governance tokens to the platform, including gaming, NFTs, you name it, just to create even more opportunities for people to earn on mobile.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Just the whole notion of affordability to perform the transaction in the first place is providing accessibility to folks. It's like sugar on top. The Celo platform at the base layer is supporting mobile technologies in Web3. I like to think that we are definitely the front runner in regards to this next mobile revolution that we're all contributing to. So Patrick, this question's from you. It's from the community. It's in regards to verifying that a user is good for the loan. Do you want to address that and touch base on it? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the question is, how do you verify the user is, quote, good for the loan? And the answer is that in the current version of Moola, you have to post collateral in order to borrow from the liquidity pool for a loan that can be taken in perpetuity. So you can deposit, for example, $1 worth of collateral, and you can borrow up to 75 cents worth of value from one of the other pools like Euros or Celo. Those specific numbers in terms of the loan to value ratio is, and those are governance parameters that can be adjusted through governance. And I expect that as more assets and more markets come online, there will be different parameters set for different types of assets. You also, so the answer is that it has to be over collateralized. That's not very useful for most people in the world. Most people do not have collateral that they can lock up to borrow against. So how do we solve that? And there's a couple of answers to that. One of which is a system called credit delegation, which essentially allows a depositor who does not want to borrow against their line of credit to assign that line of credit to another wallet address. And so what it looks like in practice is, let's say I deposit 100 Celo dollars and I don't want to borrow against it, but I know that Evan is starting a business and needs a line of credit. I can delegate my borrowing capacity over to Evan, and then he can draw down on my, essentially borrow against my collateral. Now, why would I do that? Because that sounds risky. Ultimately, it's my collateral that's on the line. And if the loan isn't serviced, then my collateral could be liquidated in the same way that if I borrowed and didn't service my loan and let the loan to value ratio go above the predefined liquidation threshold, which is currently set to 80%, then my collateral could be, a portion of my collateral could be liquidated, and a portion of my debt could be repaid by anybody who's holding those assets. And the answer is that you can ultimately charge a premium and earn additional capital on your money. And the intention is to initially build a generalized tool that allows people to make those risk decisions kind of in whatever fashion they want, right? So we're not going to have a predefined mechanism of why, under what circumstances, under what parameters the credit can be delegated. There's an initial assumption that the due diligence and that decision-making process is done essentially in an off-chain capacity. Although I do envision a future and would strongly encourage anybody listening who's interested in developing credit trust scores to take a look at the type of data that's ingested on chain and think about ways that we can create more fair, more accurate credit trust scores based on account age, throughput of the account, repayment history. I'm sure that there's a lot of factors that can be included to get an accurate sense of credit worthiness. But there's a last type of loan that I mentioned previously, which is a flash loan, which allows the user to borrow the entire balance of liquidity from a money market as long as they pay it back within the same block plus a flash loan fee. And so this is generally not a retail application. It's generally not generally, but it is specifically intended for more technical users that have specific purposes for why they would borrow and repay. Arbitrage is one, but there are also other applications. And so in that case, there's no collateral that's required. Essentially, the only requirement is that the balance be repaid plus a flash loan fee in the same block. Otherwise, the transaction fails and won't allow the loan to take place.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. So just to touch base on the side of decentralized solution sets, is there a governance process, Patrick?
Yeah, so right now we're following a process of progressive decentralization. What that means is that early on in the early days where we are now, it's important to be able to iterate quickly and make decisions and move the project forward as we build our community and as we get our governance token into the hands of active community members. So we're currently in the process of distributing the governance token. It can be earned by active depositors through liquidity mining that Evan showed earlier. We also did an airdrop to early supporters of the application that was done a number of months ago. And the intention is to essentially migrate from where we are now, which is the distribution phase of the governance token, to a signaling phase, which is the equivalent of Moo token owners being able to submit proposals and vote on proposals. However, the implementation of that proposal being fulfilled off-chain through a multi-sig contract. And then the final stage of movement would be of decentralization would be to hand off that multi-sig smart contract to Moo token owners. So not only are all decisions around the parameters and governance mechanisms made by Moo token owners, but it's also implemented directly through that governance process. And the intention is to get there as soon as possible, but no quicker, because right now it's very useful to be able to iterate quickly and make decisions that move the project forward and help us get to 1 billion users.
Amazing. And it's real. There's so many users available on mobile that just don't have access to a desktop, and they get to have the ability to gain access to financial tooling they didn't have before. So decentralization is super important. It's a whole move towards Web3. Evan, do you want to share some info on Ube and how Ube handles decentralization?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ubeswap wants to be a firm supporter of Celo and the growing Celo ecosystem. So, for one, we're sponsoring Celo Camp. We'll announce that on social, I think, today, and also, as well as the DeFi hackathon, which started just last week. So we're excited just to help foster innovation and just have more people in the community create more tools. So that's kind of one aspect of decentralization. On the governance front, Ubeswap has implemented decentralized governance right now through the Romulus portal. So encourage anyone who's interested in voting or helping to shape the future of the Ubeswap platform, who is also an Ube token holder, to go to Discord and kind of learn more. Right now, we're actively debating amongst the community the next improvement proposal on rewards distribution. So this is really showing how governance, decentralized governance, is taking effect. Also, similar to how Patrick mentioned, Ubeswap has a pretty aggressive Ube distribution schedule for people who are providing liquidity to early pools. And one of the primary intentions of that is to get Ube token into the hands of as many people as possible. And I know right now, there's millions and millions of Ube tokens that have been distributed in the first few months. And excitingly, there is a halvening coming up in those rewards distributions on October 21st. So stay tuned for that. But that's all, preset in the initial contracts that were deployed to create Ubeswap. So all of that is programmatic. And I think this is really exciting, to have certain things essentially set in stone, such as at smart contract level, but then also engage the community in the right way to set different parameters that help to shape the future of the ecosystem, such as pool rewards. And ultimately, Ubeswap will be governed by a DAO. It will be community run. This is on the roadmap that we shared a few weeks ago.
That's fantastic. So a wonderful future for decentralized financial tooling built on the Celo platform. Two excellent examples of use cases, both with Ube and Moola. We had a question in regards to mobile user interface. What type of stack was used? Maybe you can shed some light, both of you, on the development life cycle of how we got here with the user interface. I think the community would love to hear more on that. Patrick, you want to kick that off, and then we'll hand it over to Evan.
Yeah, so we use React on the front end. There was also a question on the front end about language support, so I'll go ahead and address that as well. So we currently have support for English, Korean, Portuguese, Vietnamese, and Chinese, and we're in the process of translating to Turkish, Spanish, French, Italian. And I'm thrilled to see all of these languages. I would love to see 95% of the global population be able to experience Moola in their native language. We just found a nice little tool for tracking changes and kind of making sure that the information doesn't become stale as we iterate, change the front end. So if you're able to translate into your native language and would like to, I'm certainly would love to chat with you. But Evan, anything you want to talk about the front end?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ubeswap is a fork of Uniswap, so it's essentially all the same tooling and language, and uses Solidity for smart contracts. So you can check out our docs on the core exchange and governance, also the farming, the liquidity mining pools. That logic is borrowed from Synthetics. We also have a Moola router, so you can directly route orders, to Moola and then come back to Ubeswap. There are several trading platforms that are launching on Celo soon that are connecting to Ubeswap liquidity, and a lot of apps do that as well. So hopefully you find it relatively straightforward to connect either through the front end or the back end, but also we're happy to support any integrations on Discord. And in terms of language support, yes, we have a active initiative that we are looking to complete this week to essentially, rekey the entire site so that all different translations are supported, and then our community members are essentially translating the key phrases in GitHub for us. So that way, based on your browser location, you will automatically have great language support for on Ubeswap.
Wonderful. And Evan, I have a question in regards to the T's of interoperability you showed during your screen share. Can you shed some light on why that's important? Also, in regards to like mobile accessibility, why do we need to have a bridge?
Yeah, great question. Most DeFi activity currently is on Ethereum, but it's actually moving very rapidly to other platforms. You've seen that with, say, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, and now Celo. So both Moola TVL and Ubeswap TVL, like in platform adoption, has grown significantly in the past few months, as people sort of see that they can do the similar things but better on other chains. And so the bridge is a way to, and especially the user interface is a way to help bring people into the fold. Whereas otherwise it may have been a little bit cumbersome or difficult, or maybe you need to know programming language in order to move assets. So now with the Optics bridge and another bridge launched by a company called Allbridge that's bridging from Solana, you can bring assets from other chains to Celo. You can move them back and forth across chains if you'd like. And this allows people to take what may have been a bit of a cumbersome experience on Ethereum that would cost, $50, $100 and take, 15, 20, half hour amount of time, or maybe an hour to complete. On Ethereum can be done in a few seconds. And we're just excited to enable this with the Optics bridge. It launched about 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, and already there's several $1 million of Ethereum assets on Celo. I think maybe $25 million to be exact, already bridged over. And this is only in the first 2 weeks. I mean, just imagine what the next 6 months to a year will hold.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on that because I think it's an important point on the bridging. What I think we're experiencing is very similar to what the internet experienced in the early days. When it first started, you had these siloed networks. You had a network at Stanford, a network at UCLA. You had these siloed networks that didn't necessarily communicate with each other. And once we got a certain level of standardization and protocols to communicate, these networks became interconnected and gave us the internet. And what we are experiencing right now is the same type of evolution. You started off, you had these siloed ledgers. You had the Bitcoin ledger, you had the Ethereum ledger, you had the Celo ledger, and now we're getting the blockchain, I guess, or the interchain. I don't know what we'll call it, but it's definitely something new. And so what does the world look like a decade from now when you can essentially transfer value to all of these different ledgers? And my thesis is that there's going to be chains that specialize in various useful tools. So for example, Bitcoin will probably continue to be a global store of value. And there's certainly room for a blockchain to specialize in mobile devices and access on mobile phones, and that's going to be a very, very important chain and a very important ecosystem. We're going to get there with builders like Evan and Brandy and everybody who's listening to this. But it's pretty exciting to be a part of. There's also a couple of questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to get to these. I know we're coming up on the hour here. And I want to make sure that we hit those. So maybe I'll just go ahead and answer a couple of those real quick. The first of which is, what's the maximum available to borrow on Moola? And the answer is it depends on the total amount of liquidity deposited. So if there's 20 million deposited and 10 million is borrowed out or already borrowed, then there's another 10 million. But the exact quantities, they vary depending on the amount of liquidity that's deposited, and they also influence the rates that you pay. So the utilization influences the rates. Flash loans can borrow up to 100% of the available liquidity in a pool. And then the second question, I'll just go ahead and read this off. Are there any plans to add some new coins as collateral on Moola? And the answer is absolutely yes. We are in the process of building an Oracle system that will actually utilize Ubeswap markets to give us the real-time price of assets on the Celo network. And the intention is for the next market that we launch to be a UB market. And so users will be able to deposit and earn interest and borrow against their UB collateral. But as far as which assets get added next, which markets, there's active discussion in our Discord. And if you have opinions about that, if you'd like to contribute to that, then we would love to have you as part of the conversation as well in our Discord. Brandy?
Well said, Patrick. Dang, that's amazing. You kind of gave me a flashback of the fax machine and the internet. I remember there was a time where folks were saying the internet's not going to replace the fax machine. Email cannot possibly influence a replacement. And I think today we know the results of that. And ironically, this is looking a lot like a repeat of what happened with the internet, but in blockchain. So we're kind of seeing it now. And the mobile revolution is definitely something that I participated in. And to me, this is the second revolution right in front of us. I love it. What a great story. Okay, so we are coming at time here. We're a little over, but I want to give Evan a chance here to touch base on that. Like Patrick shared a little bit about the past and the future. Do you have any closing remarks on that?
Yeah, well, we're excited to hear that Ube borrowing and lending markets will be available on Moola. I think that's just increasing the utility of the underlying asset for the Ubeswap protocol. But yeah, the pace of change is much faster this time around than it was during the initial internet days. Blockchain is entirely global and scalable to a global audience on day one. So I think with a focus on usability, UX, speeds, lowering transaction costs, and all of this in the past, say, year or two, and Celo is only actually it's less than 2 years old since mainnet launch. It's about 1.5 years old. You're already seeing global adoption take hold, and generations of people are moving into blockchain way faster than they moved into the internet. So what may have taken place over, say, 40 years to get mass adoption on the internet could happen in 1/10 of the time, perhaps, for blockchain.
Well said. Well said. I'm excited for the future. I feel like that we're right at the head of changing in the space, especially when it comes down to financial accessibility and the mobile side. Definitely a value prop with Celo. The platform is focused at the base layer from the protocol to influence a better way to connect to Web3. All right, you guys, I want to just say thank you so much, both to Patrick and Evan, for taking the time today to join up, share a little bit about the past, present, and the future of blockchain, your platforms, to the community. If you're interested in learning more about Ube or Moola Market, please check out their website. Join the discussions in Discord, be part of the community. We're constantly evolving together as a community in general, and we like to secure feedback, right? We do at Celo, so definitely join our Discord discussion as well, and just participate. It's an open ecosystem, after all. It's for you. All right, thank you so much, you guys, for spending time with me today and sharing a little love about blockchain. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, thank you.